close to, well, that's backwards for me. It'll be your time warning that you're close to 15 minutes if you can read backwards. And then hopefully we don't have issues, but Rebecca, in the last ditch effort, Rebecca has the mute button in case we cut things off. Okay. I think that covers it. Any questions as we start off?
And just to let everybody know, we are recording this and I'll distribute the recording after the meeting.
Okay, let's start. I thought I'm going to dispense with any long introductions because now I see we have this great voter pamphlet that has come out, and it really describes exactly, candidates present themselves exactly as they wanted to, and they're really nice and thorough. So please refer to those. And we're just going to launch right into the 15-minute introductions, and we'll go alphabetically. So Berschauer comes before Boyer, even though they're both B's. So take it away, Lindsay. And unmute yourself there.
All right, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, I'm Lindsay Berschauer, and I'm running for Yamhill County Commissioner. I am a small business owner. I have a marketing and public policy research firm that I started in 2013. Prior to that, I lived in Washington and was a co-owner of a commercial construction company. Moved up to the Northwest after growing up in Arizona, so born and raised in Arizona, and graduated from Arizona State. And at the time, my husband was building the Salem Hospital, the new wing of Salem Hospital, so moved up and spent my first year living off of Lancaster Drive in Salem, which was very difficult because that was a very rainy year coming from Arizona. So it took me a while to get used to it. But ever since, I've just fallen in love with Oregon, the beauty of Oregon. And I'm raising my son here. He's now 13 and goes to C.S. Lewis at Newburgh. We live in Carlton. And I decided to run because I really have seen the commission go from historically a very fiscally conservative commission to one that is embracing more metro-centric policies as the economy's been good and things are up, and just really not having that fiscal conservatism in mind. The past commissioners have done a very good job of that, so we have a healthy reserve fund, but we're already starting to dip into that. And so going forward, especially now in this economic shock that we're experiencing, I'm very concerned about that and what it's going to do to our county government. I serve the Yamhill County Budget Committee, so I'm one of the 3 appointed members on the County Budget Committee, and we will be meeting here on May 3rd for a 3-day process to go through the budget. I'm not sure what's going to come out of that. We are now experiencing 17% unemployment in Oregon, and Yamhill County has had over 4,600 job losses since March 15th. So very concerned about the budget going forward. There will be cuts. I don't know that we can dip into reserves as much as we're going to need to. So I really am focusing on priorities. It's part of my campaign message, is to focus on priorities and make sure that we can retain as many employees as we can, and kind of trim the budget in ways that don't impact the services that we provide to the county. I also serve on the YCAP board, Yamhill Community Action Partnership. And as you know, this is the county food bank. We run the county food bank. And this past week, I was honored to partner with Meadow Ridge Farms, the Gablers, as well as Ben Van Dyke Farms, and deliver 18,000 pounds of potatoes to YCAP. They've been out of them for over a week. And so they took the potatoes and they made food boxes for families in need. And so that should serve our families for at least the next 2 weeks. I am also a former elected official in Newburgh when Newburgh was experiencing annexation with Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue. I ran for the Rural Fire Board, so I served on the Rural Fire Board through that process, and was really responsible for making sure that the rural area is on the towards the top of the list for a new fire station in the rural district, because as many of you know, when you live in the rural area and you're part of a large district, you pay the same tax rate, but you tend to receive less service just based on your where you are. So I really fought hard to make sure that the rural district was going to have a fire station that would better serve our folks out there. I'm board president for Building Excellent Schools Together. We are a nonprofit of Oregon mothers who have kids who really don't fit in the traditional K-12 spectrum. We have kids with physical disabilities, developmental disabilities, and so we advocate for choice, more choice in education. And one of the things that I've been talking about is my plan to bring a recovery high school to Yamhill County. So Clackamas County just opened the first in the state. It's called Harmony Academy, and it's a recovery high school. So teens that are suffering from addiction, they're coming out of the juvenile justice system, and right now they're being placed right back into traditional high school, where the pressures are, as you know, quite high in order to start reusing. And so this is a public charter school. It would provide another path for them in a setting that is focused on recovery so that they can focus on their education. So that's something that I've been working on. Whether I win or lose the election, that's something that I strongly feel that Yamhill County needs to have. And hopefully the sponsor for that would be either the McMinnville School District or the Newburgh School District. I serve on the McMinnville Government Affairs Council, and I'm a member of the Chehalem Valley Chamber as well. I'm also a member of Oregon Women in Timber. So we focus on educating youth about sustainability and good farming, good forest practices, and what it means to live in this beautiful forested state, and the sustainability of that, and how that's really the true green jobs of our state. So we bring that message into schools and bring kids out of school and take them into the forest and help teach them that. My campaign really has been centered on 4 main things. Keeping taxes low. As I said, we have 17% unemployment. I think that's going to go up, unfortunately. Keeping taxes low. I have pledged to propose that commissioners take their salaries back down to the pre-2018 increase, which would be consistent with Commissioner Sterrett's salary. I've also proposed to not accept PERS. I don't think that elected officials, frankly, should be in PERS. And I don't want to be a liability to the county going forward. So I've elected to decline PERS. I've been self-employed for 7 years, so I take care of my own retirement. I also think we can pay more towards our healthcare. We have very good healthcare plans in the county, so I would propose that we pay a higher percentage of that. I also oppose the 5-commissioner idea. So my opponent is part of the original YC5. It's a group of 5 people who support 5 commissioners. I oppose that just because I think it's a waste of money. And at this point in time, we need to be focusing our dollars on critical services. Protecting property rights. This is a big deal for me. I think that there's certain projects that have come forward that I wouldn't have voted for. The Yamhill West Sider Trail is one of them. I oppose the trail because it bifurcates active farmland, and I don't think that it is respecting the private property rights of our farmers. Housing is another big issue, especially in McMinnville and Newburgh. So I do support common sense UGB expansions. They're both going through that process right now. And I would help work with them in the legislature to make sure that we're doing so in a responsible manner so we can increase our housing supply. Public safety is really one of my biggest priorities in terms of what county dollars should be spent on. I support our sheriff's department, emergency management. Those are departments that I would really seek to not just maintain spending levels, but boost them. I support your Second Amendment right. I will safeguard those rights. And then the healthy communities is the last one, and I touched on that with the Recovery High School. But we're seeing an uptick in addiction rates, mental health issues, and it's all tied together. And I really truly believe that it's one small piece of the solution, but I believe in reaching children earlier and making sure that we can do what we can to set them on a path that is that's healthier, that keeps them out of the healthcare system, it keeps them out of the juvenile justice system. And so I will be working hard to make sure that we can open a recovery high school. I already have several interest groups on board, from folks who work for the sheriff's department to YCAP to our social service department, healthcare department. So right now we're in the process of bringing all the interested parties together, and hopefully we can flesh that out going forward. It took Harmony Academy about 3 years to open, from conception to when the doors opened last fall. So I'm hoping we can follow that same timeline. And how am I doing on time?
I think we're just about there, Lindsay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
You got 4 minutes.
That's basically why I'm running. I am honored to have the support of over 50 local farmers throughout the county. And, I've really seen a groundswell of natural resource support, because you could say it was sort of sparked by Timber Unity, but it's really a reaction to some of the legislative proposals in Salem in the past couple years. And so I've been very clear on my desire to protect our local manufacturers from carbon taxes. I don't believe that that's a proper solution to reducing carbon emissions. I was active in trying to protect our farmers from commercial activities tax. And the trail is also obviously a big deal to them. So very honored to have their support. I also have the endorsements of several of our local lawmakers, as well as kind of citizen-led groups like taxpayer protection groups and things like that. So with that, I will open it up to Mrs. Boyer and then ultimately to questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. And so let's go to Barbara Boyer. And Rebecca, can you fix the name on that?
I know I can't. I'm sorry.
I think Rebecca can.
Yeah, sorry. Let me get into that. But go ahead, Barbara. Don't wait for me.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity. And Lindsay, you can call me Barbara. I prefer to be called Barbara. Thank you. So, hi everybody. I'm really pleased to be here with you today. Good morning. So I will be telling you a little bit about myself. I don't like to talk at people, so I don't think I'll go the full 15 minutes. I like to talk with people. I like to have conversations with people. I like to learn from people. So I'm not real good at just talking at you. So bear with me. Thank you. I am running because I see our county is begging for strong leadership. I have a proven record of collaboration in this county to deal with difficult issues and contentious issues. I sit on many state boards that have given me the skills to deal with these contentious issues. I am a good listener. I gather all the information first from both sides. I don't come with a personal agenda with any issue, and gather the information and make my decision based on information. I have experience in this county. I've lived here for 30 years. I love Yamhill County. I do not want to live anywhere else. I've been an elected official for 16 years on the Yamhill Soil and Water Conservation District Board, and I have been the chair since 2008. I help to run a large budget, which is a tax base, and it's not that large, it's a modest tax base, but we are very creative and use that money for leverage on other projects that we do on rural landscape. So in that role, I have been running a county just at a different scale. We have to abide by public meeting law, public budget law. We have audits every year, and we have a budget committee. So I've been running a county just at a different scale. So I'm ready to take the leap to the county level. Let's see. So I actually sit on the Oregon's ODA, Oregon Department of Agriculture State Board of Ag. I sit on the Oregon Watershed Enhancement Board. I sit on the Yamhill's Economic Development through SEDCOR, which is our strategic, I always get this acronym wrong, Strategic Economic Development Corporation. Economic development is very important to me for this county, especially in the climate we're in right now. We really are going to need to help people understand all the programs that are out there right now. There's not a one-size-fits-all program for these businesses, but I believe there will be a program for everyone. So I would see my role as helping these businesses navigate some of those difficult programs that are out there. It's very fluid. It is changing a lot. So it's staying on top of the facts. I would like to bring more traded sector to our county, because I feel a traded sector really supports the small town sectors, the small businesses. And one of my reasonings for wanting to bring the traded sector to our county is I want people to live, work, and recreate in Yamhill County. I feel building healthy communities, healthy individuals, hopefully would have them run for school boards, planning commissions, city councils. I see, I'd like to get the younger generation more involved civically. Being civic-minded myself, I say I have a servant's heart. I sit on the Habitat. I'm a volunteer at Habitat for Humanity, McMinnville area. I am one of the snack ladies. I bring snacks to the building crew once a month. I have built relationships all across this county, and I want to continue those relationships, and I'm known for my collaboration. I'm an innovative thinker. I'm the co-founder of the McMinnville Farmers Market and ran that for several years. I ran it for 12 years. I left for a year, and then they needed somebody to fill in. So I came back for a year. I felt like the market I needed to fill in to make sure the market would run successfully. And it is celebrating its 20th year this year. And I'm very proud of that. And in my innovative thinking, the Conservation District went into an intergovernmental agreement to do a roadside inventory of weeds across the whole county. And it was very innovative thinking on our part. It's not been done before. We staffed the person. The county gave a little bit of money towards this position. So I'm very proud of that innovative thinking. And then I built my relationship with the new Public Works Director. So I already have that relationship built. And I am committed. Like I said, I've lived here for 30 years. So I've proven that my roots are deep in this county, and I'm not going anywhere. Let's see, what else would I like to say? Yeah, my campaign is people focused. I'm not about politics. I'm about people. And I want to hear it all from all of you. I don't want to hear just from one side. I want to hear what everybody in this county has to say. Let's see. I think I'm ready. I'm ready to lead you. This county is ready for some strong leadership, and I'm here to be of service to the county. So thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. And now it's, let's see, I've never done this hand raising thing before. Anybody have any questions? I know I have a few that I can ask, but I'd love for other people to jump in here. Is anybody raising their hand, Rebecca?
Not that I see. I have a,
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I have a few questions that I would like to ask. Lindsay, could you speak to, you referred to the carbon usage reduction, and I'm wondering what you had in mind for alternatives to the current format of that.
Well, the proposal was to cap use of carbon in the effort to reduce carbon emissions. And I don't believe that a taxing scheme is actually effective in doing that. I think that properly managing our forests so that we don't have massive forest fires is a good start. In fact, that probably would go a long way to reducing carbon emissions. I think that if we focused on the state's procurement process, right now we order a lot of things from out of state and we ship them in on trucks, and there's trucks going in and out of our state. If we focused more on procurement within the state, we could reduce a lot of truck miles and carbon emissions. But Oregon, this notion of cap and trade, I think was a false one, because Oregon is already one of the lowest emitters for carbon emissions on a nationwide level. And so the pushback was, you know, hey, why does it just have to be us? Why are we punishing our families? Why do we have to have our gas prices go up and our utilities bills go up? And right now, I think that's even more alarming that would have been the case. But I would support a nationwide carbon tax. I mean, if we're going to tackle it this way, then why doesn't everybody have skin in the game? I don't support the Oregon go it alone version. And I think there's some things that are just common sense, starting with better forest management, that would get us there.
Thank you.
For people who want to ask questions, I think, and how the hand raising works, but you can also just type into the chat. I know on my screen it's at the bottom toolbar. If I mouse over it and you can click chat and type, and you can just say, I have a question. I think, Rebecca, can people actually unmute themselves?
Yes, they can.
So you can also unmute yourself and ask a question. I have a question for Barbara. Lindsay had talked about her approach or her opinion on the Yamhill Trail, and I was curious what your feelings about the trail are.
Well, thank you for asking, Joel. My husband and I are farmers who own land with multiple easements running across it. We very much understand what it means to navigate opening our farm to and acknowledging that there are other uses for our property. And I support the trail. There has been $2 million through the transportation grant system that Yamhill County has purchased that property. And I hear about property rights from people. And doesn't Yamhill County have property rights too? They own that piece of property. So I support it. I want healthy communities, and this is part of being embracing a healthy community. So no, I support it. And like, as I said, we have easements through our property. We have railroad tracks through our property. There's people that walk the railroad tracks. I understand everything these farmers are saying, and I am the best person to mitigate any impacts that will have on these farmers.
Any other questions? I have this feeling like people are wanting to ask questions, and it's maybe we're having problems technically with it.
I have another question, and this one would go to Barbara. Barbara, I'm curious what you meant. This is a new term for me, traded sector. Could you expound on that?
Just like the traded sector, we have the steel mill, we have Betty Lou's, those type of sectors. Large ADEC, so those type of industries. ADEC is our largest employer in Yamhill County. So I would like to bring larger corporations that offer prevailing wage jobs. Also with this climate we find ourselves in right now, with people out of work, I am hoping to see the vocation schools maybe get an uptick. So we could have more plumbers, electricians, welders, diesel mechanics. So that is one thing I will be looking at as we come out of this economic downturn right now. So yeah, I'd like to see some larger corporations coming into Yamhill County to support the smaller sectors, the small business owners.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Rebecca, can you unmute everybody?
Yes, I can. You are all unmuted.
For all?
I think that may have been a mistake.
Exactly, and she opposes it because it bifurcates.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute everybody again because there's a lot of background noise.
Area that they want to use to create the trails and old railroad.
Hang on, Joel, I will unmute you. There we go. Oops, wrong
I
Joel.
think somebody was trying to ask a question there.
Joel, do you mind if I respond a little bit?
Please do.
Go ahead.
So I would echo Barbara's desire for more vocational schools. Absolutely. I think it's absolutely needed. So the trail, though, what bothers me about the trail is that it's still an illegal trail. We still do not have the legal right to build the trail. And the county decided that they were going to go ahead and build a bridge in the middle of nowhere on the trail and spend $560,000 of taxpayer money and put the cart before the horse before we even have legal authority to build the trail. And on a basic level, this county should not be trampling on the private property rights of farmers who have been there long before any sort of trail was cooked up. And I will work with them to make sure that they're protected. I personally don't think it should have even gotten this far. There is now a stay on the trail, a stay on the bridge construction by LUBA, and LUBA has said repeatedly that the county needs to satisfy the impacts, the negative impacts that this is going to have on our farmers, and they have not done that. That's a problem. I will say about the job issue, the manufacturing issue, we do have some of the largest manufacturers from ADEC to the steel mill. ADEC has now laid off over 100 people because of this economic shock we're in. But what bothers me is that we were spending and spending and spending right up until the point that this happened. We passed more taxes, cat taxes. The governor has decided to continue with the carbon credit scheme. And yet here we are, and we've fallen off a cliff. And so I think that, and this is despite the fact that our economic department with the state has been warning of an impending recession. So that's the kind of thinking that bothers me, because now we're in more of a crisis, and all of this stuff is still continuing to go through the taxes and the carbon credits while we are really, really in a crisis. And so I think that that's the wrong way of thinking. It's almost like spend it all when we're in good times and not plan for the future when we're in bad times. And I think the county needs to get back to that mindset, that county government should be responding in the same ways as the private sector does.
Thank you.
And we can also bounce back and forth. Barbara, if you have anything you wanted to say in response.
Hey there. So, in regards to the trail, I have a hard time with it's my way or the highway. I really, really pride myself on collaboration. And I feel that the process, the farmer impact statement is an extremely important part of this process. I believe in it. I've been part of lots of farm impact studies, being in the Department of Agriculture's board. I'm familiar with what they look like and what they should divulge. So I do believe that impact has been done, and we'll see moving forward from this remand. And farmers are resilient. Mother Nature is our boss. We never know what she's going to bring to us. So I have confidence that these farmers along the trail are resilient enough and are adaptable enough, and we could work this out. As far as the cap and invest, I did not support the recent rendition of the cap and trade bill. I saw a lot of administrative hurdles for the small farm and the small business owner in that particular bill. They would have had to have done all this administrative work and not been able to take advantage of the incentives. They did not qualify for any of the incentives in that bill. That does not work for rural Oregon. Is doing nothing the answer? No. But I would like to highlight all the good that is happening for carbon sequestration, on all the profitable ways that forests and agriculture are contributing factors. They are not the deterrent. They're not the bad actors here. So I would like us to actually have research and highlight all the positive that forest and agriculture actually do for our environment.
Lindsay, anything to add?
I'll just say, Barbara said Mother Nature is our boss, but Mother Nature also doesn't understand economics. And I think that we've seen it with the forest industry. I've worked with the forest industry for almost a decade, and there are certain regulations and changes that come about that significantly hamper the ability to farm your trees. And the farmers that live along the trail know what is coming. They know that not only are they going to lose a significant portion of their property, it's also going to impact their crop. They may not pass USDA certifications. They're going to have dog poop they have to deal with, and trash, and a whole sorts of things that come into their onto their land, and it's going to affect their ability to farm, as well as the issue of pesticide spray. We've dealt with that with the forest industry for a long time. The aerial spray and the attempted ban on aerial spray of herbicides. So my fear is that the county does not understand all of those inner workings. It's not just Mother Nature is their boss. They are our largest manufacturers. These farmers are our largest manufacturers. We have to protect them.
Ready to move on to a different question?
I sent a question to Rebecca by chat.
Yeah, hi, Jill. Lindsay, Jill asks, since the trail was railroad property and now some of it is county property, could you expound on the view that is now taking property from farmers?
I'm sorry, you said that question's for me?
Yes, please.
Well, in the beginning, there was question as to who actually had the rights to the railroad track. So some people thought that the farmers had purchased the easements a long time ago. Turns out that's not the case. So the county purchased it from the railroad. So it is county property. But when you're talking about, and I walked the trail in November, at least the parts of it you can walk, it absolutely bifurcates active farmland. And it's not a large distance between the trail and the farmland. You literally can look over the hill and you are standing above active farmland. So this notion that farmers are going to be able to continue to farm right up to the edge of the trail is nonsensical. They are going to have to mitigate some of their risk in terms of pesticide spray and other things. They're going to have to pull back from that trail, which costs them personal property. They own that property, and it's going to cost them their own personal property and farming crop in order to accommodate this trail. And it's my view that the county should not be in the business of, for lack of a better term, railroading our farmers on their personal property rights.
Barbara?
So my only comment to that is the Department of Agriculture and OSHA dictates how the farmers spray, not this trail. Thank you.
We had another question come across via the chat factor that would like to, I'll just address this to both candidates, pointing out that the trail bed had been the trail had been a railroad bed for a very long time, now owned by the county, who has the ability to use it as allowed under current zoning for outdoor recreation, which has a significant source of income for significant source of income in Oregon possibility, I think is what this is pointing out. So I guess I would ask both candidates, is there a way to balance the concerns of the farmers with the possibility of the benefit to the county and our visitors to the county?
Barbara, why don't you go first on this?
Awesome, thank you. The process up to now has been very formal. I feel like that's not the right setting for this conversation. I'd rather see a roundtable. Take the formality out of it to really better understand, so everybody can understand all sides. Like I said earlier, it's my way or the highway. Does not make it for me. That is not acceptable. I feel that by really sitting outside a formal environment, we could really hear each other instead of kind of pitting each other against one another.
Lindsay?
Oops. I think.
There you go.
There, jeez.
Barbara, you're back on video. Lindsay, are you there? Did you want to respond?
Sure. Can you hear me though? I think
Yep.
I'm okay. Yeah. I will say that there's been plenty of roundtable discussions. The problem is the farmers have been mostly excluded from that conversation in terms of the impacts to their property rights. And it's necessitated tens of thousands of dollars in lawsuits and the process through LUBA in order to push back against the county and what they're doing. This trail is not going to bring in revenue to the county. It might bring in some tourism dollars between Yamhill and Carlton, but the fact of the matter is that we are going to have to pay for this trail in perpetuity, from the safety of it, the maintenance of it, and it's going to be an ongoing expense for the county. And right now, in this economic time, it's not a priority. I think you could probably poll the entire county, and if you asked them if it was a priority over saving county jobs or public safety or just the services that we provide through HHS, absolutely not. It's not a priority. And so, we can have roundtable discussions, but the problem is we've been there, done that, and the farmers felt like they were completely trampled on. So they've spent tens of thousands of dollars of their own time and dime on pushing back because it was a harmful project to begin with. And it's just my view that we should be protecting our largest manufacturers.
Let's go to Marcy's question.
Yeah, Marcy asks, this is directed to Lindsay. Lindsay, you talk about metro policies being implemented in Yamhill County. What specifically are you referring to?
Well, that means different things to different people. I had my business started in Clackamas County, so I used to pay Metro and TriMet taxes. I think a lot of people are fleeing the Metro District and coming to Yamhill County because we are more tax friendly and we just have a better cost of living overall. So I think we need to protect that. I mean, a trail like this that connects to Metro trails and then runs all the way down our county, to me, it's a symbol of Metro invading our county, right? Because it's the whole, we're gonna have people coming down from the Metro area and visiting our wineries and our shops and things like that. But really, nobody seems to look at the impact overall to the county and the cost going forward overall. Metro currently is passing an income tax. It's on the ballot. They are pushing forward tolling on existing freeways that you've already paid for. That kind of stuff, that kind of mentality that we need to grow government, grow county government, is not one that I have. And this gets down to the 5 county commissioners too. 5 county commissioners to me resembles more of a metro county. Clackamas County did that switch several years ago, went from 3 to 5. And the administrative budget ballooned because of it. It's costing taxpayers more. And I would argue that that kind of mentality is a bigger government mentality. And I don't think that Yamhill County taxpayers want that.
Barbara, a response?
I don't know. I don't see Metro coming in here. I don't want Metro. I want us to keep our culture of family farming. And I want to be thoughtful about growth. I'd like to use what's in the UGBs now in all these cities before expansion. And I don't believe that trail will be connecting to Metro. I don't believe that to be true. No, I am all for keeping Metro out of Yamhill County. Thank you.
We did have a follow-up. I think Marcy said that, Lindsay, you had referred to Metro policies having been implemented here. Did she hear you right? And if so, what were they?
I must have misunderstood the question. I thought it was about Metro policies kind of coming into Yamhill County. So that was my point in laying out some of those things that I'm fearful, because frankly, we're on the front lines. I mean, we are feeling the pressure of the push out of Metro. And anybody who has watched Metro or TriMet over the years knows that expansion is really kind of the only way that they stay solvent, right? It's sort of a necessary evil for them. So I'm worried about that. I'm worried about the willingness to err on the side of collaboration, but oftentimes that comes with a price, and I don't want to see Yamhill County fall into that. I think we need to protect our livelihoods here. We have a lower cost of living. Almost half of our county is rural farmland. We need to do a good job of protecting that and push back more against some of these metro-centric policies.
Could we do Leslie's question?
Yeah, I think Leslie and Kristen are both asking similar questions. Kristen's is a little more fleshed out, so I think I'm going to go with it. This is to both of the candidates. Other counties support the visitor tourism economy financially to present a unified message to visitors. Historically, Yamhill County has not led the county in this, and as a result, individual cities have set up transient lodging taxes on their own. As a result, cities have been duplicating efforts and sending competing messaging. Also leaves non-city-based businesses without much representation. How do you see the county commissioner's role in promoting the tourism sector?
Lindsay, go first.
So our economic development department, we partner with SEDCOR. Barbara's on that board. And so I think that, you know, what I've said about our more rural parts of our county is we could probably do a better job of focusing some of those grants on those areas. I think the effort, the need is going to be there to boost some of that, because transient lodging taxes are down significantly right now, which is hurting our cities. And so I think we're just gonna have to be more nimble and creative about how we go about doing that. But like I said, my basic view, if it's in regard to the trail, my basic view is that the trail doesn't really bring in those kinds of dollars that would be meaningful and impactful for cities or counties or local businesses.
A response from Barbara?
So there is a group that came before the county commissioners who are trying to start a countywide tourism movement. I don't know where it is right now, but when I sat with them in the beginning, Visit McMinnville is the lead. And I believe they're trying to start a countywide tourism group. And we are, you know, a tourist destination. And, you know, we have a trifecta here between the farms, the wineries, and our amazing restaurants. And I really appreciate highlighting all the goodness we do have here. Yamhill County Tourism Partnership. Thanks, Philip. I saw that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them here. I had a question. So recently, Commissioner Starrett had a comment that I saw in the paper. I'm not able to quote it directly, but it had something to do with desire to restart the business community around here, and not believing the state epidemiologist. And I was wondering if either of you would comment on that. And Barbara, would you go first?
Absolutely. Thank you. I have a lot of empathy for these businesses. A lot of them are my friends in Yamhill County, and I talk to them frequently. I've been checking in on them. A lot of them are being very inventive. Hopscotch has been amazing, doing a, you know, just come shop at the door, you know, give your list to Linda Hayes, the owner, and she'll do the shopping in the store for you. Third Street Books is delivering. I'm seeing some really wonderful innovation happening. But I believe in the science. It's science, science, science to me. And that's what we need to base the reopening of our economy. To me, that's what I would base my decision on. This virus does not respect county lines, nor will it respect state lines. But I feel if we have a unified message about reopening, it would be, that would be my wish.
Lindsay?
Well, I am definitely not a scientist or in the healthcare field, but I've been watching the news, and frankly, I don't really know who to believe. They're saying now that a fourth of our population has already been exposed to this, so we have natural antibodies and immunity. I think what concerns me is that when the governor said we're going to hitch our wagons to Washington and California, both states have seen much higher rates of infection. That's concerning. I do support her effort to open up non-essential medical offices, but frankly, I think that our businesses, like Barbara said, they're learning how to retool and stay open and be effective. And you know, if the grocery store can figure out how to get that done and keep people safe, I don't understand why the auto dealership can't, or you know, the coffee shop down the street. So I'm very concerned that a lot of businesses have been able to get through April, not doing well, but get through it. May is going to be a very different story. I was delivering a sign out at Christensen Auto, and those guys have laid off 13 of their employees, almost all their employees. They're not taking salary. they themselves have filed for unemployment. They have cut their overhead by 85%, and they're dipping into their savings just to make the remaining overhead. Luckily, their landlord is not going to charge them rent for a month, but that's only for a month. So a lot of people are living on the edge, and I'm very concerned that if we don't, if we don't allow our businesses to open up and figure out how to best keep their customers safe and trust that they will do that, you know, I just think the economic devastation in this state is going to be so severe. I'm not looking forward to walking into the county budget meeting, frankly, on May 3rd. We've already seen several municipal budgets take a big hit. And so I err on the side of trusting that our business owners know what it will take to keep their customers safe. And there's counties in this state that have not seen a single case. And so I don't support the one-size-fits-all approach to the COVID economic response.
Thank you. I'm feeling like we do have a couple more questions, but we're kind of running out of time here. I'd like to honor everybody's time commitments. What do you think, Rebecca? Should we?
I would suggest that we give each candidate a few minutes just to wrap up anything that they wanted to expound on or reply to or point out. We've got about 3 minutes left.
So let's just like a 3 or 4 minutes.
Sure.
So go ahead, Barbara.
Hi there. So thanks for the opportunity today. It's always nice to reach out to constituents. One of the things I did want to highlight was my endorsement from retiring Commissioner Rick Olson and sitting County Commissioner Casey Kula. But two of Commissioner Olson's projects I would like to continue with, and that is making the budget more friendly. She's about 5 years ago, we revamped our budget at Yamhill Saltwater Conservation District and really made it so the everyday person could actually pick up our budget and understand it. And it's a large document. It's 135 pages, the county budget. So it'll be a big feat, but I would like to make it more user-friendly. And I'd also like to continue the space analysis for the county. I think there's a lot of buildings around the downtown core of McMinnville that need to be looked at. And I would like to continue that space analysis. So I will close with that. Just let you all know that I'm ready, and don't forget to vote and wear your masks when you're out in public.
Thanks, Barbara. Lindsay?
Well, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to talk about why we're running. I certainly appreciate your time. I had a news reporter ask me, you know, what is it that you would like to be known for as a candidate? And my response was, really, I'd like to be known as the working class champion and the working class candidate. I think that we have 100,000 people in this county. Many of those folks are connected to our natural resource industries, and a lot of them rose up last year to try and protect their jobs. I represent a younger generation. You know, I've got kids in school, and I really think a new, fresh set of ideas and principles to the county commission is what we need right now. And I'm honored. I'm not a farmer, and I have a lot of respect for farmers. I have a lot of respect for what Barbara does. But I really have been very humbled by the outpouring of support by our farmers. Over 50 of them have endorsed me and financially supported me. And I think that, you know, they're doing so because it's not just about the farm, it's about the employees that they provide jobs for, their families. And we're seeing this kind of constant attack from Salem, coming out of Salem, in terms of the policies that are coming out, and they're hurting our county. And what I've said is that I really believe that our county commissioners need to do a better job of advocating for the county on a state level. So I would anticipate and hope that I would be down in Salem a lot saying, you know, we agree or we don't agree with this. It's not good for our folks. So I appreciate your time. And I have a Facebook Live lunch here at noon. So if you want to join me, you can find me on Facebook. Thanks.
Thank you, Lindsay. Rebecca, if you can unmute everybody, we can give everybody a round of applause and appreciation for.
And put an order
joining.
of credit in there.
I think it's dangerous to do that.
Can you do
But
that?
you're all unmuted.
You.
Whatever that is, I mean, they just look at what
Thank
happened.
you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And may the best woman win.
Okay, let me get in it for you. Let me look at your pipeline. Do you know your logins?
For whatever reason.